Hey guys, Brian here and welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to cover a little bit of what I'm doing with my Palantir shares, Palantir leaps, anything like that, because a lot of people have been always asking me about if you don't have a lot of money, what stock would you go into? And to be honest, I should have made a lot of videos like a few months back because a lot of my coworkers, a lot of friends were asking what stocks would I choose? And I've been saying Palantir for a long time because it's AI, it's government backed. They have crazy earnings reports. They're just doing an amazing job at being the best at what they do. And their stock is showing why it's so amazing. So I have like 2-3 strategies that I've currently been doing and have been doing, and it's been making me a good amount of money, and it's definitely building up my portfolio. So let's just jump right into my desktop so we could jump into it and go from there. And here we are on the option chain on Palantir. The current price is, PLTR. Sorry, I was looking at Sofi for a second, but that's also one of the stocks that I've been going back and forth with a lot. And that's also one of the stocks that, if you want to get started doing this, is one of the ones I personally use. But here, Palantir. So of course, the first strategy that I do, like say if you had like 12,000 bucks, like a small portfolio, like 12,000 bucks, this is what I would do to start wheeling and dealing. So what I'm really big on is, like, if you're just starting out, start out with cash secured puts. And what I personally would do is bring up the chart. And this is what it looks like. I've dark mode on, so don't mind me. And I like looking at Bollinger Bands because you kind of see like the top of like one standard deviation away and the bottom, and you kind of like choose what you think would be best for that stock on the day. And it's not a bad look here. So, but you could see right here, this was today's chart at 9:30. We started off, well, I'm still looking at Sofi. Sorry about that. Palantir right here. I was like, that doesn't look like the right chart. So here we are at 9:30 in the morning, kind of see where they are. Had a crazy drop off today, but it's not bad. We're expecting this. And because there was a big gap up, you expected a gap down. So that's usually how it works. Like, look, huge gap up and then eventually gap down by the end of the day, which was expected play. If I was someone that liked to buy and puts and calls, I could have made a lot of money, but that's not usually my strategy. I'm a little bit more risk averse. So I just sell options for the most part, unless they're like leaps. But so what would I look for here just for original selling puts? It's pretty simple. Like, you could look at the chart and kind of see where they're at right now. So they closed at $60.70. Is that correct? Yeah, $60.70. And where do I think that this is a solid buy if you wanted to buy this at a discount? So pretty much you saw that there's consolidation here at like the 59 mark, and pretty much anywhere below that I'd be pretty happy with looking at. So let's look at the option chain really quick right here. And then, yeah, look, for puts, I would go out about 2 weeks to get the most premium that you can with a solid like delta. So of course I look at delta, and I usually say below 30% if you kind of want to make sure that it ends up worthless, like this option, and you just keep collecting premium, keep using your cash over and over again as collateral. But of course, if you're a little bit more aggressive, you could go above 30% and you could collect more premium. But of course, there's a higher percentage chance that the stock price will go past this, and you'll have to buy the stock at the strike price chosen. So that's up to you. But for me, I personally like to go below 30%. And what did we say originally? Like 59. But yeah, like 59. So you'd have to go below, and the Bollinger Bands pretty much are like at 58.5. 58.25. So what I would probably choose if I wanted to make sure that this hopefully ends up worthless by the end of 2 weeks, I'd probably pick like a 58. And if you want to be a little bit more aggressive, 59. So 58, perfect, below 30%. And this is for November 22, and I said I want to go out 2 weeks, so let's actually look at November 29. So we said 58. You're gonna get paid $145 for this contract. And again, I'm saying that we had 12K, so you could pretty much put up 2 contracts of this and pick up 145 times 2. And my math, even though I'm Asian, is not great. 1.145 times 2. That's $290 over a 2-week period. And let's do this. 5,900 times 2. That's 11,800. So 290 divided by 11,800. And you made 2% on your money in 2 weeks. That's amazing. So if you do this again, 4% on a month, 4% times 12, you made 48% of your money over the whole year on this initial, off this initial investment of like 12K. So that's amazing. So let's just do that again. 145 times 2 times 2, because that's a month, and then you could times that by 12. You made around $7,000 if you could consistently do this for the whole year. And that's 6,960 divided by 11,800, and again, around like 58%. A good amount of percent on the year, just making the simple play of like a selling option strategy. So this is the first thing I would do, is just selling puts until the stock price actually blows past your strike price, and then you're forced to buy. And then I would be selling covered calls the opposite way, all the way up, and capturing the appreciation. Like, that's like the first and easiest strategy that I personally would do. And then the next one, if you also wanted to be exposed more to the stock, I would buy 100 shares. So I would also be doing one covered call. So I would buy 100 shares, right? And then I would do a covered call at like a 20 delta, 20 or 30% delta, because probably 20, because I'd want to make sure I'm capturing as much appreciation as possible in like the 2-week time frame. So again, November 29, that's like 20% here. You could get, so you'd pick the 68 and you'd be collecting $75 for one side. And then on the other side, I'd keep the other $6,000 that I have and do one on the put side. And again, I'd probably still choose the 59 and I'll get paid $184. That is not a bad deal at all. So you're selling options on the call side because you have 100 shares, and you're also selling on the put side. So you're doing that. Then obviously, that's like one of my favorite things to do, is be on both sides of this and make as much money as possible. And then if you want to be a little bit more risky, if you want to potentially make more money with a smaller amount of money, you could do what I've been teaching for the last few videos, or man's cover calls with leaps. So what you would have to do is buy a call over a year out. So let's knock all these bad boys out. So it's already November, so you can't do November of 2025. Let's probably go to like January of 2026. January 2026. You're going to look for like a 70 to 80% delta. Let's go closest to 75, like a 50 strike price. You would buy this for $2,150, so $2,150. And now that you have this call option, this long call option, now what do you have? You have control over 100 shares. And what can you do with 100 shares? Now you could do covered calls. Covered calls with these 100 shares. So what I personally would do with these covered calls is, now we're going to do these out for like bi-weekly or weekly, depending on your risk tolerance. I personally would be putting deltas below 20%. What I keep teaching, below 20%. I probably wouldn't even do the 17%. I'd probably go out to the 14%, 15%, because the difference is $10. but I want to be as safe as possible. Shoot, I might even go as far as 70 because the money difference is only like $6-7. I want to make sure, as close to making sure that that call option is going to end up worthless and that I could just keep collecting the premium, because I don't like losing. And if you lose on this, say the stock price goes past the strike price of 70, now you're going to have to buy back the option. You're going to have to close it out for a loss, and you don't want to lose, guys. That is the biggest thing. Don't lose. Like, don't play so close. Don't be greedy for 10 extra bucks or whatever it is. Don't be greedy. That's the risk for the poor man's covered call with leaps. But then if you could do this consistently over and over again, like if you did 2 contracts of this, you could probably do like 4 to 5 contracts of this with the $12,000 and keep collecting that. So let's say it was 2150. So 2150 times 5. That's, you still like have like $1,000 left over of the 12,000 original. So let's say you had 5 contracts. You're going to times that by $36. So this is bi-weekly. You're going to make $180 every 2 weeks, potentially. And then if you do that times what's 26, because that's how many bi-weeklies, you made $4,680 doing this. Like, guys, and you're doing this with half amount of money that it costs to own the shares, to actually own the shares. And since you have a leap, if the price of Palantir goes up like it's predicted to go up, you're going to be making money on that side as well, exponentially in comparison to actually having the shares. You just make more money on the option side because it's the way it's calculated, which is amazing. And this is what I love about like selling options and the option strategies, because they are ways to make a lot of money doing this. Just, of course, you have to be able to manage your positions and only be choosing stocks that you personally want in your portfolio, and just to understand what you're doing, not being greedy, not trying to get as much money as possible. I'm okay with the $10 difference between a 12% delta and a 17% delta. That's actually like almost $20. I'm cool with that, because the background that I have is that I used to be like a dividend investor, and I was like really cool just getting like $4 from a stock that I held for a year, like over the year, or even just quarterly. And so why am I complaining about getting $10 every week or 2 weeks for selling covered calls? Like, who am I to do that? You know, a lot of like us get greedy, like, oh man, I wish I could get the $100 a week or $1,000 a week. You'll get there, just you have to learn the process, do it right, and build the portfolio so you can start having multiple contracts, so you can start making all this different money. So like I said, I used to be a dividend investor, and I was happy with my realty income giving me like a few bucks a month, or like my AT&T giving me a few bucks every quarter, or like my index funds giving me like once a year of like $30. Why should I be disgusted or mad about making that same amount of money in like a week or 2 weeks? Like, it doesn't make sense. And this is why I believe like selling options and covered calls, cashier puts, and a lot of these strategies that I'm teaching here are the best ways to build your portfolio, because once you build it up to a big enough amount, you can go back to doing those, and you can then make your portfolio as passive as possible. But this is supposed to be a short video. I end up rambling, but this is exactly what I would do with Palantir, because it is one of those stocks that could fit into your portfolio. It's one of those ones that isn't too expensive yet. And I personally just love the company. I love what they're doing. So this is what I personally would do with my portfolio, with my Palantir shares, leaps, everything like that. But again, none of this financial advice. If you guys liked this video, got some value out of it somehow, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys very, very soon. And let's get rich together, guys. Peace.